Hello and welcome to episode 11 of the Late Challenge podcast, the only podcast in the world where you can hear nonsense talked about artificial intelligence and crisps. We're here as usual with the great Gareth Roberts and me, Paul Cope. And we're going to get straight in again, but we've got some big news coming at the end of this week's episode, so stick around right till the end to get that news. I want to get straight in. I was going to start on something else, but as usual, we're going to get sidetracked straight away.
Yeah.
Feeling rough, aren't we, mate?
Yeah.
What's happened?
So Mark Campbell, Mark, I know he listens, sent me a message a while back saying there was a charity football match at Prescott Gables yesterday. And he said, come down, have a pint. I don't think he meant quite that many pints. So yeah, we went down, charity football match. It was an Everton side, Liverpool side. Alan Kennedy was there, Peter Reid was there, Peter Reid's brothers. Decent little crowd, actually. So I imagine a fair bit of money was raised, which was the point. And it was 8-4 in the end to Everton. Liverpool staged an Istanbul-style comeback. They were like 4-1 down, got it to 4-4, but then it all collapsed. And Alan Kennedy was not happy, it's fair to say.
Wasn't happy?
No, kicking off.
Was he?
Won European Cups, hasn't he? So, he's not having it even at that level.
Yeah. I've played with Alan Kennedy in a five-side tournament, yeah.
Yeah? Did he kick off?
He likes kicking off and he likes a bevy.
Yeah.
It's the things I found out that day.
Yeah.
Did he like a bevy yesterday?
I didn't see him afterwards, actually, so I don't know if he had a drink afterwards in the bar, but plenty of other people did, including me. It's one of those days where just, swaths of the end are missing. I just woke up in bed and thought, how did they get here?
Well, it's funny because I don't get this anymore, so when you take Oh, is that right? Yeah.
My coat was in the bath.
Because you told me on the way in, you don't remember getting in.
No, I don't remember getting in. I mean, when I got up this morning, my coat was in the bath. Part of the toilet roll holder was down the bog.
That's brilliant.
And I was looking on apps to see if I'd got a cab. Don't appear to have.
So you don't know how you got home, do you?
No. But I did find a receipt for McDonald's, Big Mac and large fries, $10.22.
Doesn't it frighten you though? I remember getting to a point when I was still bevying like that, but in the later years of it, where I just think, I've got no idea what I got up to though. I don't know what I did. I don't know what conversations I had with people.
It's like a zombie version of yourself wandering around, isn't it?
Yeah, but that happens loads, doesn't it? And I always have this thing that when you see someone else, you have to remember that that's them.
Yeah.
So if you're engaging with people, I stopped ages ago fighting with people who were drunk, arguing with them. Because I just they've got no idea what they're talking about. They won't remember this. But I'd also love to I'd always love to have camera footage. Maybe we just need to set up cameras in your house so we can do the goggle box. And then imagine just watching, think about the pissed brain. Why is the coat in the bath? At some point, your brain, when you're pissed, goes, I'll put my coat in the bath. That's a good place for it.
I know, it's mad,
but it'll have done it sensibly and probably at the same time while thinking you're not bevied.
Mm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, most of the key things were done. I always shit myself, think did I leave the front door
That's
open?
Weird, isn't it? It's weird how you still do that.
Or whatever. And gate was shut, front door was locked. All the key things.
And you got home.
Happened.
How do we always get home?
Yeah. And I would have gone, I'll get a McDonald's.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Mad. But yeah, there you go. So yeah, a bit under the weather, but self-inflicted.
Well, we'll take it easy then.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get straight into the crunching challenge this week and messages. Because last week was just a fucking walk in the park, wasn't it?
Yeah.
For the mighty, I'm going with the mighty Monster Munch now. That's 3 wins out of 3 for Monster Munch in this competition. 2 for you and 1 for me. 6-4 to you overall. Flaming Hot Monster Munch beat Skip 63% to 37%. And it was just from out the gates, wasn't it?
Do you know what?
But to be honest, you've forgotten crisps.
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
I
get a default win.
So that's 20 bags of crisps we've done, and it's never happened. We've never clashed. They're there in mine. I bought them especially.
Were you still going to reveal what they are then? Should we just do it that way?
Do it that way, yeah.
Okay.
I just can't taste them. I don't think they'll win anyway because I've gone left field.
But they might win because we're down to the dregs now, aren't we?
I think we're going to have to change.
We'll both be doing the same thing. We'll both be picking ones that we've been holding off on for ages because you're not sure on. I'm down to I've got a couple left. I've bought 2. There's a bag I brought with me, and I've got a bag for next week already. Oh. I'm the opposite of you. I'm double prepared. But the one I've got for next week, I don't think I'll win. But it's my favourite of all time. But I've got to put it in just because I can't face them, Joe. In the future, if I'm eating them, I'd feel guilty every time I was eating them if I never put them in the challenge.
Well, we're gonna World Cup it, aren't we, to get an overall winner?
Well, I was saying that I was thinking that Monster at this point in the competition, is it just going to be a Monster Munch final? Do you know, is that what we're going to see?
Or we'd have to do a draw. They might get drawn against each other and knock some of themselves out.
Yeah, well, Homebaked have been in touch, haven't they, saying they'll host something.
Yeah, a Monster Munch World Cup event.
Yeah, well, they called it Super Bowl, didn't they? But I don't know why. I don't know why they wanted to go American. But it was. I mean, it was still a good. It was fun. It's funny. I still enjoy this. It's funny because there was the usual split of opinion about whether Skips and Monster Munch are elite or shite. Like there was plenty of people loving Skips. Someone got in touch on Twitter saying it's like a third round FA Cup tie that's been chosen by the BBC, which I think as soon as you revealed Monster Munch, I knew I was going to get beat. But this is the other thing. I'm intrigued to see how some of the ones have lost for me, and even for you, get on in a competition. Because they could have been knocked out. They could have been a strong contender knocked out by a big hitter, couldn't they? But could do well in a World Cup.
Look at the draw. We've also got, by the way, I was going to keep it a secret, but I can't hold my own water here. Our fellas has messaged me this morning to say that he's got some kind of like laser sculpture tool thing, and he's made a late challenge, crunching challenge winner thing for like the overall winner of the crunching challenge.
Has he?
Yeah, so he's going to send us it.
Is it for the crisps or for me or you?
I think it'll be for me or you, won't it? But I mean, like, we need to draw a line on when crisps ends, don't we? I think, and then we start with biscuits or start with chocolate bars.
Now I know there's a trophy I want to. But are we going to do a trophy for each thing?
Could do. We'll see if Liam, I think his name. We'll see if Liam's up for doing one for each section. But this had like crisp theme. Like I think it had like a little monster on it and a crisp and stuff like that.
Hell, that's nice, isn't it?
It looks good, yeah.
Imagine that if me and you end up. Imagine that if in a few years we end up doing like Steven Gerrard's got like the room in his house with all the trophies in.
Crunching challenge.
Because me and you've just got like
a ring the echo?
Little cupboard in our house with little.
Like whoever the winner is.
Probably, yeah. Someone would run it, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to come on to something like that. It was funny because I mean, there's loads of stuff going on, and as always, we get too many comments to put everything in. But thank you for carrying. Thank you for sending everything in. Thank you for sharing your comments, and please keep doing it because we love them. You did cause a bit of controversy last week, didn't you? By referring to the Monster Munch as a claw.
Well, I'm right though, aren't I?
Well, but this is interesting, isn't it? Because two people, Paul McHugh, and I would imagine they were representative of wider people. Paul McHugh on Twitter and Andrew Clifton on YouTube both got in touch to say they're not claws, they're individual full monsters. And we had a chat about it after the show, didn't we? Because I have heard that in the past, and I remember thinking it turned upside down.
That's like that's the biggest flaw in the argument. Really, it doesn't look like a monster. It looks like a claw.
I can see why people think it's a monster though. But you then did you just find this on Twitter? Were you searching for it?
Yeah, someone. I think someone sent us it. And so straight to, I know what it was as well. Carl, remember Carl who came in and watched one of the shows and brought us like tea and crisps and stuff.
Oh yeah,
I think it might have been Carl who sent us it, but he was having an argument with his missus about it.
Oh, was he?
She was adamant it's a monster, and he's like, there's no telling her. It's a claw, and I was like, it's definitely a claw.
Well, this is the funny thing, isn't it?
It's a monster's foot.
There's an official line.
Yeah.
Although Walker's, do you know what's mad? As soon as I saw it, like someone basically on Twitter, Walker's replied to someone, Niall Bergham, asking them, like, are they a monster's foot or a monster? And Walker's did a bit of a shit out answer, didn't he? Like, what they said we see them as monsters' feet. Others see tiny monsters. Other thing is for sure they taste monstrously good.
But they're the people who make them.
But if you make them and you see them as monsters, then they're monsters,
right.
aren't.
Yeah, you're making them.
Stop trying to play. I don't like that answer.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
But
that's trying to be like, we can't upset anyone.
You program the machine to make a monster's foot, not a monster.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's a monster's foot. Like there's no, that's it, end of.
Yeah.
Like I don't get it. I mean, when it's turned the other way, there was a big fucker, or there still is a big fucker among the Monster Munch gang who's got like a bit of a barnet like that, isn't there?
Yeah, I think.
Did I tell you I won a Monster Munch?
You won a Monster Munch
when I was a kid. Yeah,
no.
Yeah. It
Did
was
it
massive,
look like that?
big green one. I think it might have had a sort of barnet like that. Yeah, but I mean, it's a foot.
It looks more like a foot than a claw. But this is I mean, I remember Joe from the first episode when I caused some shit from the very start, and a couple of people, Joe, did the whole like political correctness gone mad thing. This isn't that political correctness gone mad though. Like they're so afraid of like upsetting the people who think it's a monster. Just say it's a claw. Yeah. It's not that big a deal.
Just say it's a foot, and I've done.
It's all right for everyone who thinks it's a monster to be wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just be wrong.
Yeah.
Whoever's was a car's missus, like, she's wrong. They're just wrong.
You're wrong.
Right. That's all right.
It's a foot.
I've just found, sorry to put a spanner in the works, this is from the 1990s, and this is a plush toy by Monster Munch. And I hate to say it, but that kind of looks like...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, one of the monsters does have a bit of a barnet that's like it. But, there's no face or anything or any detail.
But look, look, the long arms.
No.
And the feet.
No. Behave.
Get out.
I'm Team Monster, sorry.
No.
Jacob, you can't be Team Monster. That's the point. Walkers says it's a claw.
They say
it's a foot.
We see it as a claw.
We see it as a claw. I'm going to get in touch with Walkers again and say, make a definitive position.
I know.
Causing shit here.
Write it on the bag.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This is a bag full of feet. Fucking crack on.
It's monsters' feet, you pricks. We saw something else as well. The other thing I wanted to mention, Stephen Headman, there was some, even though Skips got battered, there was some lovely shouts on Skips and love for Skips. Lee Garston said he moved over to California 15 years ago. The craving for prawn cocktail snack never ceases. And I'm no fucking Tory. I wouldn't associate prawn cocktail snacks with Tories.
No.
But it's interesting that ties into that woman who wrote the article the other week who was like, prawn cocktail crisps. And you can't get them in America. But then Stephen Hedman said, he backed Skips 100%, try them stuffed into a buttered French baguette. It's top notch.
That's just a crisp butty, isn't it? It's just a crisp butty, that's fine.
In a baguette though? Would you have crisps in a
bread.
baguette? Isn't that just too much? I'm thinking that's a lot
of bread.
A lot of hard work for your jaw.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
I think it'd be all right, though. I don't think I'd ever have it, but I'm not like offended by the concept.
Loads of butter needed, I'm saying.
Don't know about that. Enough to like wet the bread, but why loads?
I've never discussed this with you. How much butter would you go for? Would you butter both sides of the bread?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But both sides?
No, you know what
not
I mean.
The outside when it's on your hands. You see that when you're making a toast?
As soon as I said that then, that came in my head and my brain went, ooh. Like all four
That'd
sides.
be weird, wouldn't it?
I'm going to try that next time I have one. I'll send you the picture. So it's all over your
after
fingers.
After you've had it, come in and shake Jacob's hand at the door.
Yeah. I'm a big butter man. So like I have butter like it's a filling of its own. Do you know what I mean? Thick.
Ooh.
Too much for you?
Mm-hmm.
Just have a thin spread.
Just spread it out, yeah. Just like, I don't want the bread to be dry, but I don't want like slabs of butter. No.
Well, when we have our World Cup, we can compare and see. You saw some fella Willy Wacky Snacks on Instagram. I was intrigued by this. The flavors he was finding abroad, like a few of them seem to be in China. Beef Wellington, fried crab, spicy hot pot, grilled Wagyu.
I know.
They're posh flavours, them, aren't they?
Barbecue chicken skewer. Beef Wellington would be all right, wouldn't it? I mean, I don't know. I can't envisage how it tastes in a crisp, but the concept doesn't offend me.
This tied in. Have you got this clip ready, Jacob? This clip tied in to what we were saying last week about, Joe, when they first make the flavours. Did you watch this yesterday, the Matt sent us?
No, I don't think I did.
Haven't you seen it? You were probably
maybe
bladdered.
I did.
Yeah.
Maybe I did, and I just don't remember. I'm buzzing off it last night in the bath.
About it. Yeah. While you were taking your coat off. Wonder if you got stripped off in the bath.
Don't think so. The rest of my clobber was next to my bed. Like,
was it?
It's just my coat that was in the bath.
That's mad, isn't it? But anyway, our mate Matt, just pause it for a second. So on the idea of
Esther Ransom.
That's Esther Ransom, isn't it? So this clip's from 1981. It ties into the thing we said last week about Joe, when they're making the flavours and they're not unlike actually what the flavours are. And it ties into something we said weeks ago about this clip is Boss from 1981. So I was one. It's in my lifetime. What were you? 3 or 4? 5, were you? I just forget how old you are.
Thanks, man.
But this is when they first started bringing out other flavours, like the prawn cocktails and all that. So they went on the streets to do like a taste test. But look, get on. For anyone watching on YouTube, it's worth watching YouTube just for this clip, right? Think about how old this looks. If you went around women in the street now, these people look like they're from like the 1900s. It was only 1981, but look how innocent it is. Go ahead, play. I just love it.
Plain, and then it was salted, and now they have the most extraordinary flavours. So Paul went out on the streets with gammon flavoured crisps and prawn cocktail flavoured crisps and pickled onion flavoured
But
crisps.
she's saying it like,
And
oh,
ask
weird.
people if they could tell what the flavour's supposed to be.
You can't tell?
No.
You've no idea what they taste of?
Well, yeah, they just taste like the ordinary, the ordinary.
Would you like to taste
They're
them?
a bit fishy.
No one can
Bit
tell what they
fishy.
taste of. A bit fishy, you think?
Plain fishy taste.
They were bacon.
Never.
What do you think those are?
But it's very difficult.
It's chicken.
Never.
No, that one. The one you just said is
Well, they
chicken.
don't taste like the chicken I do.
What do those taste of?
What muck have you got in them?
Just a little taste.
What muck have you got in them? She's great.
Cheese and
isn't
onion.
No. Why does it taste like cheese and onion?
Because they are cheese and onion.
They're not.
I know what I'm eating, love. Cheese and
They're
onion.
not cheese and onion. They're pickled onion. Try one of those.
He's not impressed, is she?
Her face is just absolutely classic.
Sorry for those listening.
Yeah. Yeah,
They're the
sorry.
same bloody things.
Plain.
Leave it there. Leave it there.
No, they were plain crisps. Try those. See if you
Where
can
do you, I'm a Geordie man. You English can't kid me.
Go on, Jacob. You can
You
strap
tell
it
me
there.
what it is.
I am conscious for the people listening. I'll go to that though. Like,
Yeah, it's fast.
that's 1981. And doesn't it looks like Eastern Europe,
I know.
doesn't it?
Yeah. Everyone looks very weathered, don't they?
Weathered and old, and like they're probably only about 35, aren't they?
Yeah.
Look about 80.
No skin cream or Botox then.
That was imagine if you showed them. Imagine if you could go back then and say to them, "This is what the world's gonna look like in 40 years." Like my mum's 77 now, and she doesn't look like that. Do you know what I mean? She's still going out in town and that, and getting her hair done and everything. I just loved it. So I wanted to share it. We had a lot of chat about crisps coming in as always. The Bottomless crisp party. Someone actually sent, or there was a clip online, wasn't there, about what it was? Were you surprised by it? Because
No, I thought it would be shit and it looked shit.
I think you shared it on Twitter, didn't you?
Yeah.
In my head, I just had it. There would be loads of packets of crisps, but it was like big vats of crisps, wasn't it? And you went around with a box and you helped yourself to different crisps in the
is
same
minging
box,
itself.
which is horrible, isn't
Yeah.
it? So you'd have like
Everyone's
Monster Munch
fingers
pickled
going
onion.
in.
Well, that, but also in your own box, you'd have like
Imagine
some
the
pickled
smell.
onion Monster Munch, some beef crisps, some prawn
You know what I
cocktail.
thought was weird as well? Like we got an email in, didn't we, from Robbie Fowler saying, not that one, not the footy player,
Yeah.
the one who watched,
Yeah.
saying there was something similar in Walsall, I think it was. But what made me laugh about that particular one was like it was going on about, book this for your stag parties and all this kind of thing. And I thought, hang on a minute. So when you get married, it's meant to be the only time you get married. That's the aim, isn't it? When you get married, it's a once in a lifetime thing. So therefore, you only ever have one stag do.
Yeah.
And so surely the aim is to do something memorable, to do something that you wouldn't ordinarily do. And basically, you're going to a boozer and having a crisp butty. Like I'd be like, lad, that's a shit stag.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
If your best
Like,
man organised that for you, you wouldn't be happy, would
we're
you?
meant to be like, race some motorbikes or, I don't know, going abroad or going to watch like Bayern Munich or going, I don't know, doing something like mad and boss, not having a crisp butty in a pub.
Yeah.
Nah.
No, I'm not into that.
It
Just looked weird, didn't it?
It did look weird.
Although I loved LFC Aaron message just saying, when Robbo said the Bottomless crisp party, I thought he meant a party where you eat crisps wearing no pants. and I love the imagery of that. And I don't think I've ever told you the story. It reminds me, I went to Liverpool Celtic, and I was thinking, God, this must be 20 years ago when we played Celtic. It might have been in the UEFA Cup or something like that.
When Juice spat.
No, it feels like
The
McManaman one.
McManaman one, yeah.
Yeah. And someone will probably tell me now that doesn't match with age. But we went out in Glasgow afterwards. So obviously there's loads of Scousers there. And it's the best example of being a bouncer I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was funny. We're all queuing up to get in this club. And there was a lad in front of us, a Scouser, and he had tracky bottoms on. And the bouncer just went to him, "You can't come in here wearing them, mate." So the lad just took them off and put them over his shoulder and went, "Can I come in now?" and the bouncer went, yeah. He just laughed. He was like, fair play to you. Because I didn't actually say you needed to put jeans on. I just told you, you've got to take them off. So he did.
It's all right, isn't it? So he's just wandering around in his bills.
Just walking around inside in his bills.
Remember people used to take the socks off and put them over the training?
I had a mate who did that. Yeah, it worked as well. I was only thinking about this the other day, though. Do you know, when I had one where when I was only 16, 17, I didn't grow till I was a bit older. So me and one mate were dead small for trying to get in places. So we used to just take the hit. We'd say to our mates, well, we don't want to stop you all getting in. So we'll go in separately to you. And we'd always get in because we just like Joe went in with, we were cocky, went in with like the attitude. But I remember once going to Paradox, do you remember that? The club I used to live by, I was by Aintree Racecourse for people who don't know where it was. And we went up one day and they knocked us back. So we went round the corner, swapped shirts and came back again. And they let us in. And Joe, at the time you're thinking,
why would that make any difference? You still got the same face.
No, but it's the things you think, isn't it? Says the fella who put his fucking coat in the bath last night and doesn't remember getting
Well,
home.
at least I was drunk.
Yeah, but we were drunk going in. But I always look back and think, isn't it funny that like when you're the kid doing that, you think you've smashed it, don't you? As if those bouncers didn't see us coming back going, they've just swapped their shirts, but fair play to them.
There's one I always remember, like there was a club in Eighton called Ferraris, which was as bad to the towns really, and Moody club.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Where was that? I remember Natter Jacks.
Heighton Industrial Estate.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, and it was it was rough. Like it was mad. It was always going off in there. There was all like gang fights between different bouncers and all kinds of madness. But we went once, and it was after like a lad we knew, his sister had got married, and we had like suits on, obviously from the wedding, and he was like, "Leave the flowers in, it makes you look older." No, it doesn't.
Why does it make you look older?
I know exactly.
Make you look like a tit.
Logic. And I can remember getting there and done all the stuff you do, like memorise the blag date of birth and all that kind of thing. And they were just going, there's absolutely no way. You had to be 21 to get in there as well.
And how old were you?
I think 17 or something. Like, there's absolutely no way you're 21. They brought this fella out who was one of the bouncers, and they're like, he's 21. And like in the end,
and when he was he was like a grok with a big beard and that.
Yeah.
Were you fresh faced when you were 17?
Yeah, very much. Yeah. In the end, I think I had to like throw some. The old chestnut with them was you had to like throw some dough in there, like little bouncers fund.
Oh yeah.
To be allowed in.
I remember that. Bouncers always do stuff like that, didn't they? I always remember when Princess Diana died, they all had buckets saying for Princess Diana. I remember going to one of them. All right, mate, yeah. Where are you sending this then?
Yeah. We're going to walk down to Buckingham Palace with it. Fuck off.
Fucking brilliant. But last but not least, on the crisp side of things, we got a boss message, didn't we, from Luke Bowyer. Bowyer? How would you say Bowyer?
It's like Lee Bowyer, I don't know.
Yeah, didn't there used to be a debate about how you said his name though? Bowyer. No.
Bowyer.
Who's hungover? Hey Gareth, thought you'd like to know. Went to see Bob Odenkirk at the Philharmonic last night. And for those who don't know, he's the one from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. And he said the last part of the show was an open Q&A with the audience. I think he was a little perplexed when the very first question was, what's your favourite crisp? Starting to think you've got crisps at the forefront of every Scouser's brain. Thank you, Luke, for sending that in. I would love to know that's linked with us.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, you'd never know, would you? But like people, I mean, are you getting like people going on about crisps to you, like in society?
Well, I tend to not knock around in society, so I don't see anyone. I like hearing your stories.
Yeah. Like lad just stopped me in the pub last weekend and was just like, "What's the flavour this week, Robbo?"
Yeah.
Or just like loads of people coming up offering advice on what crisps to pick and all this kind of stuff. Like, so people are getting into the crisps, and like obviously you can see online as well. People keep sending us like stories about crisps, videos of crisp parties, all that kind of stuff. Someone sent me an article where it was like some fella writing for one of the Irish papers picking his favourite crisp, but he picked Brannigan's, and I was like, they don't make them anymore, so they can't be your favourite because you can't eat them. Do you know what I mean?
What was his point?
He was saying they were boss and blah, blah,
remembers
blah. Yeah, but I just kind of thought, if you're picking your favourite crisps ever in an article that people are going to read and maybe take your recommendation,
They've got to still exist.
Yeah, it kind of got to exist.
Yeah.
Wasn't having that.
I think there probably will be a campaign to bring it back at some point.
We're good then.
But so yeah, we wanted to say if that was you who asked that question to Bob Odenkirk and you are a listener and it was prompted by this, let us know, because I'd love that. I might retire off the back of that. Put it on my CV.
It's good, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really good. We've already done half an hour. Should we jump into your fact? Have you got a fact?
Yeah.
No, what we need to do with fuck. Do you want to do the crisp? We've still got to do them.
Go on, what have you brought
Where
in?
am I? Okay, now I haven't even got them out, have I?
Well, mine, obviously I haven't got them because I'm a dickhead and I
Well, you
was
say what
bevied.
you've gone first.
But believe me, they're in my kitchen right now. They were waiting to take centre stage and I've left them behind. I went for Seabrook crisps, which are in general good, by the way. But I went left field with the flavour, Worcester sauce.
Worcester sauce.
Or Worcestershire sauce, is it? Yeah. So I've gone for them. I
Nice.
think they're
never had
belters. I love Worcester sauce though anyway.
Do you?
Do you know what I mean? I throw it in like when I'm cooking and in
are
a lot
left
of things. They are left field, and I think loads of people will say, there we go, we've got them up on the screen for those who are watching. Bags of flavour, made with pride, Liam Perrin's Worcestershire sauce, the original crinkle cut. Yeah, that's them. Belters. Liam Perrin's Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire
Well, do you know what's interesting? I
It's hard to
realised.
say that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's nice though.
I realised after a few people, different messages, I assumed people would only vote for crisps they knew that they liked. Do you know what I mean? But I've had a couple of people just unrelated to this at all, like clients and stuff, have said to me, "Oh, I've voted, but I've just voted on what I think sounds the best." Or, and I was like, "Oh, I wish I'd have known that before I started picking." Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like that's important, isn't it, psychologically?
Someone got in touch saying they do get them each week and like have it like as a game with the kids
And
that they pick the favourite.
That's lovely.
It's fast, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I went for, and this is one I've been thinking about for ages, but holding back right till the end because I'm not even sure what people's reaction to them will be. Doritos, chili Heatwave. Oh, round of applause from Jacob.
Not crisp.
Are you saying they're not crisps? Well, someone said they're up. Did someone say they're on Monster Munch?
Said they're not crisps.
Yeah, because they're
Maize
cornstarch. But I mean,
whatever.
that rules out pretty much half the ones we've picked, doesn't it? Chili Heatwave flavour corn chips. I reckon they're popular. But I think we're both already like.
Yeah, we're scraping the bottle a bit, aren't we? Maybe. Well, do you reckon? Oh no, you said you've got a bag for next week, didn't you? So should we do next week?
Do one more after this,
and then should we change to what? Should we have people to tell us what they want us to change to? So I reckon the runners and riders for that are probably biscuits. You could do.
Yeah.
You could do chocolate.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I thought we were going to do chocolate by default, but then you said last week someone had suggested biscuits.
Yeah,
and
I
actually
biscuits is good.
I think biscuits is a better shout than chocolate to follow up crisps because it's the crunching challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think for the international viewers and fan base and listeners,
I think biscuits will divide opinion as well in the same way. Like, you know, some people absolutely love like a ginger biscuit, and other people think it's like, you know, from hell. Yeah. So I think we can have some fun with that.
Well, I also like the fact it's a bit like the American thing, isn't it, with the crisps? Like there's a divide across the water, isn't it? They don't even call them biscuits. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
100%.
Well, but yeah, you let us know what you want us to do after crisps because we are getting to the end of this now. You got your facts ready?
I have. This one is about one of my favourite buildings in Liverpool, which is the Tobacco Warehouse. Now, I've gone past that for absolutely years, and there did seem to be once upon a time where it was like its future was threatened. There is grade 2 listed, like. Seems to be on much safer ground now, and like they started like building apartments in there and stuff like that, haven't they? And it looks like it's safe, which is a good thing. But did you know that when it was built in 1901, it was the world's largest brick building?
The world's largest brick building?
Yeah. So it was 30. It had a floor area of 37 acres. And it was 27 million bricks, 30,000 panes of glass, 8,000 tons of steel. And it could accommodate, and I haven't heard of this terminology before, 70,000 hogsheads of tobacco.
70,000 hogsheads of tobacco?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It's just like that's how they measure
Is that the measurement of tobacco?
Yeah, apparently so, yeah.
A hogshead?
Yeah. So that like two facts for you there. Some of that was stored for up to 15 years before being bought or collected by cigarette manufacturers. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a key heritage asset for the city, of course. So yeah, that's your fact this week, mate.
That's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what does my head in about this? I'm turning to my dad for this though, you know. We used to do boss stuff, didn't we?
Yeah.
Like the biggest building in the world.
I know. And like, look at the shit we throw up now.
Yeah.
Like
why don't we get back to
Lego
that?
buildings behind Lime Street and stuff like
Shite.
that. I know.
Well, we'd never do that. We'd never build the biggest building in the world, would we?
Have you seen what they've done to the Beehive pub, by the way?
No. Which one?
Gone. So
The one by
opposite McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Yeah. So
There's
like
one around the corner from here, isn't there?
yeah, that's so.
But is that the original? That's the original one by McDonald's, wasn't it?
I think so. I don't know.
You always talk about-
But they took it off the people who were running it. The brewery took it back and they've done it up, put a whole new frontage on it, and called it like it looks shit. I haven't been in, by the way. Maybe it's all right inside.
It was proper old school pub.
It was an
wasn't
old
before?
school pub before, and now it's like got this like modern look. But it's called the Futurist, which just feels like it's taking the piss, because the Futurist, for those that don't know, was a little cinema on Lime Street that's now gone, and they knocked it down after people trying to save it for years. And all that's left of that now is a little drawing on the Lego building that replaced it.
Yeah.
And so like someone who's running this booze has gone, oh, well, everyone was absolutely fuming when that cinema went. So let's take away more of Liverpool's heritage and call it something that's gone.
The other one.
And I'm like, I just don't, you know, like back to your thing of sitting in a room
Yeah,
and coming up with ideas. Who goes, this is going to annoy people that we take away their pub. This is going to annoy people that we take away a traditional frontage as well. Well, let's put a new one on there and let's call it that cinema that everyone misses.
Yeah.
What?
That's brilliant, isn't it?
It's fucking bananas.
But these are the bits where I like, it does tie into the conspiracy theory stuff. And I'm sure it isn't with something like this. This will be someone just thinking it's a good idea. But it makes more sense that it's a piss take, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It makes more sense that someone's gone, this will be funny.
Don't you
to
think,
take
by the way,
piss.
like I'm just getting on my little soapbox here, but don't you think that, you know, like some of the, like I remember the Echo ran like a campaign going back years, like about grot spots. And it was about like, you know, buildings that have been lay empty for ages and you know, fell into disrepair and all that kind of stuff. And I thought it was quite a good campaign because it's something that annoys me. And what it seems to be, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, it's just like people with loads of dough who own it and are just sitting on it and they're not doing anything with it.
Yeah.
And they're just waiting for one day for someone to come in and pay them. I think there should be like some kind of rule / law that after, say, a set number of years, they have to take like a bid from the local authority. It falls into local authority control, and then they then do something with the building. Because you know that the cinema on the corner of Lime Street, the one that is still there, but hasn't been anything forever.
Yeah.
Like I can remember going to see Chariots of Fire in there with my ma. And it like leather seats and all that. And I was only a little kid. Like I'm sure, like that's a film.
Was that still open when you were a kid, yeah?
Yeah.
Was it?
I went to it, yeah. And it was Boss. And it's just been absolutely nothing for years. There was a bit of a plan that I remember hearing about a couple of years back for it to be some kind of community asset. Didn't happen. And it's just sitting there, and it's like it's one of the most viewed buildings in the city, isn't it? It's
literally walk out to Lime Street and
walk out
see
to
it.
the station, and it's right there in your face, alongside St John's
But
Centre.
who owns that then? We should find out who owns it and start a campaign against
Does my head in. So
Yeah.
that's me little.
There's loads of that round.
soapbox of the week. Well, there's an old cinema stroke. I think it's a cinema. I was going to say bingo hall, but I think it's a cinema on Park Road as well in Toxteth.
Yeah, on the edge of Stocksteth.
Yeah, and that's another one. Like what's happening with it? Like when I was living that way not long back, and I did see a load of builders in there at one point, and I thought, oh, Boss, they're going to finally do something with that then. But I haven't been past for a while, so I don't know. But yeah, it annoys me that, and all these like, you know, half-finished projects as well. You know, it's just sad to see, isn't it? Like, it's like, as you just said, you know, we used to do Boss stuff in this city, make amazing things, make things that are like bigger and better than anywhere else in the world. And now it's just like, you know, people can throw up any old shite, or not, as the case may be.
It's funny, isn't it? We're gonna talk about something capitalistic later, but I have mixed views on capitalism, and but that's one of the shitty bits about it, isn't it? It's like we should be able to just this isn't probably capitalism's fault, but we should be able to just we should have rules that say no, if you're not doing anything with it, we'll take it back. 'Cause it's a fucking blight on the city.
Exactly.
It makes everything look shit. There's a few around the city centre now, aren't there? Where
Well,
developers just went bust.
You know, like talking about when you get off the train, like that sort of wraparound advert thing that surrounds St John's shopping centre. Basically, so you can't see the car park because it's crap.
Yeah.
that was meant to be temporary, that.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, and it's still there. And how long's it been there? I mean, I can remember it being there, certainly when Liverpool come home with the European Cup, so that's 05.
Yeah.
So
20 years.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
And now, not only that, it seems to be like, it's a prime advertising spot, and it's like, just do something better with it.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen where St. John's Centre is now? Have you seen what was there, how it looked back in the day?
No.
Oh, it's amazing. It looks like sort of like America or something. Like a completely different layout, all these like boss old buildings, and all that gone, replaced with shit shopping centre. And it's like,
I'm going to have to look up pictures of this now. This will be like the new Brighton thing.
There's great pictures of it, yeah. All those like groups on Facebook, like all old Liverpool ones, they always throw it up every now and again. So if you look up where St. John's Centre is now, look at what it used to be, and it used to look amazing.
It's mad, isn't it?
I know.
That's a proper little middle-aged man session.
It was, but you know.
But it is, yeah. Look, there is something to that for any city. Like, people shouldn't be allowed to just fuck it up without doing something about it. Anyway, we've only got 20 minutes left. So I wanted to chat about footy again, because we had a little chat about footy last week and I enjoyed it. So we chatted about Klopp and FSG and as usual, you know, we are, I would say, on the scale of, like, I always say this to people, it's not black and white. You don't have to pick one side or the other. Like, but on the scale, I would say we're up towards the supporter end of, well, definitely high end of the supporter end of Klopp, and up there for FSG as well. Both can be criticised. But since we spoke last week, the news broke about Bellingham, which, Joe, the disappointing stuff that we're probably not going to buy him now. And then I read an article other people might have seen about Sadio Mane buying on the BBC website, chinning Leroy Sané, but also that he's gone shit, basically. Like, he scored 11 in 32, which isn't that bad. But the more shocking thing is he's come off the bench in 8 of those appearances this season. He's a bit part player. And so I wanted to have a little chat about criticism, which me and you don't usually do, but like, what's the reasonable criticism of Klopp and FSG? Because I think they both can be criticised. I know people love criticising FSG. I think Klopp there's reasonable criticism of Klopp now as well, I think, and there has been for a while. FSG is the easy one with the money, not enough money spent. My thing about Bellingham is, surely if there was ever a player to put more into and just say, all right, if we were going to spend X amount, we'll put 50 more million in. We'll just put that in to get this lad. He's 19. Everyone says he's a generational talent. He's like built to be a modern footballer for us. And if there was ever a guarantee of a resale value on a footballer, it's this, isn't it? I know there's always risks, but he's 19. Like, you could keep him for 4 years and sell him to Real Madrid for double that. What's your take? What's your view on it?
I think it is disappointing, and you know, I think some people fall into a trap when they talk about Liverpool of almost like always defending them in some way. You know, like every single thing saying, "Oh no, it's Sam. We'll just get these other players." Like, and almost saying like people who are disappointed and angry about not getting Bellingham are like wrong to do so. I don't think they are at all. You know, it's one of them where I think everyone's a little bit right on this. So, like, if you're fuming about it, I think you've got every right to be fuming. Equally, the ones who are saying, well, this just means we can go out and get X, Y, and Z, well, they're right as well, because that's probably what they will do. But I just think, like, you know, it being the chase of Bellingham was sort of the reason why we hadn't bought any midfielders. Do you know what I mean? And so it kind of feels like we've wasted the season here.
Yeah.
You know, all our eggs were very much in the basket of Bellingham coming. And like, you know, we've had all the sort of like, you know, Henderson and Trent and all the rest of it sort of like, you know, knocking around with them, smiling about them, talking about them. The manager, you know, I know he likes to say in press conferences, I don't talk about these things. He talked about Bellingham though before. He talked about what a talent he was. And so the club as a collective had allowed that beast to grow, that he was coming, that he was a target, that he was the number one target. So to now sort of say, well, how come you're all kicking off? Well, they're kicking off because you sold it to us that he was coming. And we were sort of prepared to accept a bit of a shitty season on the basis that he was coming. So to now say, oh no, we're going to buy a couple of lads from Brighton and you know, and someone from Bayern Munich who you've never heard of, who doesn't get a game every week. You know, well, it doesn't, of course people are going to be disappointed. Like, I kind of, you know, I get the argument about like, they're not going to sell him for cheap. He's got 2 years left on his contract, hasn't he, I think? And Klopp was sort of talking about like guarantees, wasn't he? So he was reading between the lines on what he was saying, it sounded like he was saying we could go hard on him and we might still not get him. And that's sort of a bit of a deviation from what we sort of understood, I thought, because it did seem to be that he was definitely coming. He wanted to come. He'd chosen Liverpool. He wanted to play under Klopp, all of that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden the rug's pulled away. And on FSG as well, like they have been stingy and they have been conservative with the money. And like, you know, you can point at like, you know, a new training ground. You can point at the fact that, you know, the ground itself is going to be 61,000 and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, those big projects like that, an owner can choose to pay for them, can't they? And that's a sort of a way round FFP, if you like. Well, they didn't do that, did they? They loaned Liverpool the money at a low cost to do it. But ultimately, the club's paying for it itself. So they didn't put in that money. Other owners have put in that money in that situation. So they are stingy, aren't they? You know, they are conservative. And I think like the sort of rules that Klopp has to play by, you know, do hinder him. You know what I mean? But you said, and you're right to say, I think there should be some criticism of Klopp, because I think one of his few faults is that he's too loyal. I think he's too loyal to players.
I was going to ask you that, because it's interesting that Joe Mane basically wanted to go, didn't he? But clearly he's fallen off a cliff as well, at the same time as all of our other players have fallen off a cliff. And I wanted to ask you about the loyalty question, but there was another one I wanted to ask about, which is, and maybe it ties into loyalty, but I don't know whether there's, for me, I'm sort of grappling with this myself. Is it arrogance, or is it naivety, or is it just loyalty? That this literally happened at Dortmund, and we've seen him asked about this in the past, and he's got an arrogance about him when he answers this question, even very defensive about it, like it's nothing the same. And you're like, well, I'm sorry, mate, it is. And you didn't learn from that. Like whatever's gone on with we had Chouameni last year, which I think ties into the guarantees thing in the press conference, he said, because by all accounts, they were all in on Chouameni, weren't they? And maybe in their heads, it was Chouameni last summer and Bellingham this summer.
But the mad
and
thing
we'd
about
have an
that
unbelievable midfield then, wouldn't we?
But even with the chase of him, like, it was like they didn't get him and then went and bought forwards.
Yeah.
And it was like, but what are you doing then?
Yeah. But that's what I mean as well. Like, that ties into that. Remember when he listed all of his midfielders? And he's like, I don't need a midfielder. And you're like, well, you were just trying to buy a dead expensive one. So you clearly do think you need one. Yeah. So there's something going on here. And that's where I flip it, because it's dead easy to go, not enough money. But there was like, how much did Chouameni go for? Was he an £80 million player? I don't know, I'm guessing at that. But he was big money, wasn't he? Well, that money was there. Yeah. And you could have still just gone and bought a midfielder. And you didn't. You went out and bought forwards. And in January.
Nunes, Gakpo, Diaz,
so
whatever.
Where does that tie in? So, I mean, you just said it, but are you he's too loyal, man? Do you think there's an issue about the 7-year thing as well? Because the way we play footy, if you compare it to City, I know they've got more money than us to spend, but they have made... Do you know, there's been a theme over a few weeks where we've talked about building a second side. But Guardiola's built a second side gradually, hasn't he? He is like...
It's easy for him,
I mean, he's got a lot of money.
Or easier,
yeah. But he's still done it.
Yeah.
Like the thing that's annoyed me about Klopp, I think, is we stopped buying Wijnaldum's. Do you know what I mean? We stopped buying the players that got us to where we were great in the first place. If we couldn't get Chouameni last year, why didn't we just go out and get two £30 million midfielders?
That's what looks wrong, isn't it? I think the strategy behind all of this, you know, all of a sudden looks a little bit worrying. Do you know what I mean? We've gone from being like, you know, what looked like one of the best run clubs in the league to one where the strategy's gone off kilter a little bit. And you know, you've got to factor in, obviously FSG were trying to sell, and then all of a sudden it was, you know, they wanted another investor. But, you know, it seemed pretty certain. They were trying to sell, they were trying to get out. And so then you'd have to wonder about, well, is that still the case? And sort of how much is their heart in it now? Do you know what I mean? I mean, they won't want their asset to, you know, sink too far, if you like. But equally, like, are they really all in on like winning the league, on winning European Cups, on truly backing the manager? You know, I think that's maybe up for debate, because, you know, they were looking to get off. And so, you know, you can't just sort of go, well, we're not now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the worrying thing for me, but I was chatting to one of my uncles about this during the week, is that when, do you know, what the way we're run to compete, and Joe, I've said in the past, but like we've competed with like a super, like basically drugged up superpower, financially doped. and we've beaten them. Like, we've beaten them, which is unbelievable. But to do that, everything had to be so right. Do you know what I mean? We're not just the manager and the players, but the behind the scenes. The worrying thing for me is, I was chatting to people about the Beatles, like, even use them as an example, right? The Beatles come together, it's almost like magic. Like, these 4 lads come together, but it's not just them, it's the manager and the people behind the scenes. And there's just this magical blend for a few short years, and then it's gone. And once it's gone, no one can recreate it. Paul McCartney can't recreate it. He's been trying ever since to write those type of songs. He's written with other people. It's never been the same. My concern is, like, is it possible to recreate that magic behind the scenes? Because the more worrying thing for me is, like, Julian Ward, who replaced Michael Edwards, is leaving at the end of the season. Why hasn't he already been replaced?
I know.
Do you know what I mean? If I go back to the corporate world, if that was a big law firm, they'd already have his replacement.
100%.
Because you can't let him do confidential deals for you, surely. You can't let him be... If he's running transfer dealings for us now, how much is he in on it? And I know, like, people will say, he's being professional, but we're all humans, aren't we? If he's got one eye on his next job or whatever, he's already been in interviews with Ajax. So how much time and dedication is there?
Well, we said last week, didn't we? It just feels like there's a lot to do and a lot to sort out. And, you know, like, it's gone from, you know, you were sleeping soundly at night thinking about Liverpool, if you like, to now it's like, well, we've got to get all these players in. We don't know who they're going to be. There doesn't seem to be, like, a top target anymore. So it's gone from we're all in on Bellingham to an absolute range of players now.
Well, and basically every fucker's being linked with this now, isn't it? But the one that it's mad that it was Enrique, wasn't it? Who announced, he said ages ago, months ago, is it Gravenbach? We're going to buy from Munich. He said he's got the same agent as Muscle and it's done. It's a done deal. But that's one of them where you're like, all of a sudden you're like, And I think if we'd have signed a player like him 2 seasons ago, everyone was with their confident. Do you mean we trust the manager, we trust the backroom staff?
But
now if we buy him, I think there'd be
because he's not, you know, he feels like a project signing, doesn't he? Someone who, like, he's going to have to get up to speed and all that kind of stuff. Whereas Liverpool's situation in midfield is, it needs fixing urgently. It needs almost like, you know, someone taken from the very top shelf and thrown in, knowing as much as you can with any transfer that they can hit the ground running like. And I think, you know, we've gone from targeting someone who is like that to now targeting people that don't look like that. And I get the thing where he says, you know, we don't have to be the best team. You know, we don't have to be the best team to win the league because it's a system thing. But as you said, it sort of took a while for the system to truly work, didn't it? I mean, okay, we got to 2 finals in his first season and we saw the players run harder and faster and all that kind of stuff. But it's the thing as well, isn't it, about, you know, like, it's the building the second team thing. So, like, is it easier to just come into a culture that's wrong and fix it? Is it as easy to sort of recreate the same culture again when, you know, like, some people now probably sick of hearing Klopp and I've heard all the things he's got to say, all the messages he's got to say. They know the drill. They know the drill. They know how you're managed, and it maybe doesn't work as much anymore because, again, that's a human thing, isn't it? You know, like, you'll be in a job for years and then, you know, after a while you start looking at the people you're working with and think, I've heard this before. Nah. Do you know what I mean? Bollocks.
Well, I remember reading this out ages ago on an Anfield Rap show. There's literally a quote in one of the books about Klopp from a Dortmund player where he said something, I can't remember which one it was, but he said something like, there comes a point where sooner or later someone asks you to do something again and you just go, no. It's just, you just stop wanting to say yes. And he was basically like, we couldn't be arsed anymore. And that's where the Mane thing is a big piece for me in this, is that you can look at us all you want and what's going on in Liverpool, but literally a lad who left us at the end of that spell has gone to another big club under different managers in a different system, and it's been shit compared to what he was before. They're all basically saying, like, he's a shadow of his former self. Tuchel's come in and said, yeah, he's sensitive and he needs building up and all that, and even at his level. But they'd have thought they were buying a guarantee, wouldn't they? And so that for me is a management point. The way we play footy is you're running these lads into the ground.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, the 63 games and all that, you know, it was a thing because, you know, I went to those cup finals. Well, I didn't go to the European Cup final. I went to the domestic ones. And like they were out on their feet.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that extra time against Chelsea, I don't think they had a shot. I don't think they hardly ran into Chelsea's half. They were just knackered. They were just waiting for the penalty shootout because they had absolutely nothing left. So, you know, could you not see or not predict that after 63 games and after running all those lads into the ground, there was going to be a drop-off? And that being the case then, why didn't you buy a midfielder?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, and that's where for me it comes back to that.
Yeah, we're full circle, aren't we? We're back to Bellingham again because we were sold the idea that the reason we didn't is that we were all in on Bellingham, and now we reached this stage after a shit season, and we're not. And that's disappointing, isn't it? And it's back to, again, it's just being honest. You know, like if we have another season like this one, the people will point at the manager, and I love him, and I wouldn't want anyone else to try and turn us round. But we know how it works, and we know what the football world's like. We know what the media's like. You know, FSG gave Kenny the boot. They didn't care, and they just said.
Well, I was just going to say that all legends at the end of the day. I can't remember who it was I saw. It might have been Mourinho or something like that. He basically said we all get sacked in the end. There's very few managers in the history of footy. Like Guardiola's one of them, isn't he? I mean, well, Klopp is one of them right now who doesn't get sacked. But sooner or later, if you hang around, the chances are in this job you're going to get sacked because there'll come a point unless you decide to leave. That is the other thing with Klopp. I could imagine, because he did that with Dortmund, didn't he? I can imagine him saying, and I think that's the thing with FSG. I think they'll say to him, do you still believe you can do it? Because if you believe you can do it, we'll back you. But if you get to the point where you're like, nah, I can't. Because that was my big thing months ago. I said to everyone, when it came out he was signing his new contract, and he basically started referencing like why he would stay. It felt like he was referring to that end of Dortmund where they basically did you need a new manager or you need a whole new team. And this time I'm staying. So it was like, i.e. we need a whole new team.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, well, you do need 5-6 players. So I can understand them why they go, okay, on a numbers basis, it's like, okay, well, we're going to spend that £100 million across more players. But for me, when it's this type of player, you go, no, just put an extra £100 million in because you've got it. Like, this is my big thing with it. Like, that annoys me about it. Then it's not like they don't have the money.
I know.
They do have the money. And if John Henry said to me, like sitting here going, yeah, but FFP, I'd go to him, oh, fuck off, John. Why are we still doing FFP when nobody else is? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Just find a way. Yeah. Put Bellingham on a 10-year contract. Like, I love the way this fella at Chelsea's just come in and gone, well, there's an easy way
around
to this, isn't it? Put everyone on dead long contracts.
The close on that particular thing, aren't they? But it was available to Liverpool to do it.
Exactly, and we didn't.
I know. And that's back to the conservatism of how it's run.
Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? But look, we're running out of time again, and I wanted to end on some lighter stuff. All over to some dark stuff in this. Bit of internet chat as always. Everyone loves the artificial intelligence stuff, don't they?
I haven't chatted to it this week.
Haven't you?
No, I never had a chance.
I'm glad. I think you needed some time off. Do you know what? In fairness, ChatGPT probably needs some time off from you.
Yeah.
He's probably chatting to his other mates, his other fucking chat mates, going, fucking hell.
Yeah, he wouldn't leave me alone.
This lad's fucking on at me all the time. Have any of you heard from Robbo? Fucking hell. Just constant at me. Why? Like a kid.
I like the idea. Let's just frame this conversation in a way that is sound. I like the idea of what we just talked about before, though, that I could set it up to argue with people for me. Like that'd be amazing. If ChatGPT arguing the style of Robbo for 4 hours and I just left it running, arguing with everyone. I'd love that.
I think this is where we're going with it. Like, and this will come just before the end of humanity in the world. So at least we'll go out with a laugh. Because you saw this headline on the Daily Star, which I wanted to put in. Robbo Klopp, which we've put on the board there for everyone watching on YouTube, because it's great. Because basically the story was AI will terminate footy managers within 10 years, and I was laughing because we were laughing over the weekend because we've had it's been the Easter holidays, we've had the kids all the time, and I was saying to my girlfriend, like, AI could already do loads of parenting, couldn't it? Because my girlfriend went to me, God, you get sick of the sound of your own voice, don't you? You get sick of saying the same thing. Like, my stepkids are 3 and 5, so like I'm constantly saying, what you say? What's the magic word? And it's dead funny.
Wasn't that like, a Black Mirror, like a sort of like a robo nanny or something?
Well, I wouldn't surprise me because you could easily program to do that. And then we walked the kids to school, and I was laughing my head off because I was like, we came back and we saw my girlfriend's neighbour, and my girlfriend went to her, like, said hello as we walked past in the street, like the chit chat as you walk past, and she went to her, have a good day. Have a good day. And she went, I'm off to work. And my girlfriend went to her, don't work too hard. And she went back, I'll try not to. And I started laughing. And my girlfriend smacked me and went, what are you laughing at? I went, we all think we're these like special people, don't we? But AI could learn how to be a human dead easy. That's just standard chit chat, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't work too hard. I'll try not to. And I went, one day we are just going to be sitting here and the humans will just be watching AI chatting to each other, won't it? Like there'll be we can just set up a Robbo chat GPT to just argue with people and then just set it off on the internet.
It's gonna happen,
slagging people off,
you're gonna
arguing
have
with people on Twitter.
Like all those like Black Mirror or like what was the one from years ago? Now there was a similar program to Black Mirror when we were young that used to imagine the future and all that kind of stuff, and that's always been like a theme, hasn't it? Like sort of you're knocking around with a robot. Do you know what I mean? You could live with instead of actually having like a partner. I'm not going down that road, by the way. I'm thinking more like
now.
I know, yeah, but I'm thinking more like people who are on the Todd, and like it could be like someone you could talk to. It could make you bruise. You know what I mean? You could have an argument with it. Be sound that, wouldn't it?
It definitely will be.
Yeah.
That's where we're going with it. Well, I mean, to throw this in on the absolute, there's absolutely nothing to worry about here line. I'm going to stop that clock before it starts doing the alarm. Did you watch the Joe Rogan thing I sent?
I've watched the start of it. And
just put the first 30 seconds of this on, Jacob. This is for anyone who hasn't seen this. And if you don't know who Joe Rogan is, he's got like the biggest podcast in the world. And this is, well, you'll hear them actually introduce what it is at the start. You got it?
Joe Rogan podcast, check it out.
The Joe Rogan
experience. I'm trained by day, Joe Rogan podcast by night, all day. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first episode of the Joe Rogan AI experience. I'm your host, Joe Rogan, or at least that's what this AI model thinks I sound like. Let me tell you folks, this is some next level stuff we've got going on here today. Every single word of this podcast has been generated with the help of ChatGPT, the cutting-edge AI language model developed by OpenAI. I am not the real Joe Rogan. Let me repeat it once more. I am not Joe Rogan.
So just stop it there, Jacob. That's enough. So it was a full podcast with Joe Rogan and basically
how long is it? 51,
the founder,
51 minutes.
The founder of OpenAI, Sam Altman.
Have you seen the one with Steve Jobs, where Joe and Steve Jobs?
No.
Steve Jobs, who's dead.
Yeah.
Fucking petrifying. Because if you just close your eyes and listen to that,
well,
that's a Joe Rogan podcast.
I seen one. It was Oasis, who, as previously discussed, I am a fan of. So it was AI Oasis, and like it sounded a little bit off, but equally it sounded pretty close. Do you know what I mean? And it was like
what? Because you said that to me, but I didn't see it. I didn't listen to it.
So like it wasn't Oasis. It was AI generated.
But
Oasis.
Singing.
Singing,
and it sounded
guitar
like
sound, all the rest of it. Yeah. And it was just like, and obviously there's all the paintings and things like that, isn't there? And you can
which
say like
paint
in the style of, and you name an artist, and like it does it,
just does it,
and it is absolutely quality. Like I don't know, there's genuinely got to be a worry here, hasn't it? I mean, I'm someone who's worked like creatively, if you like, for most of my career in terms of like journalism and what have you. Like, there's no jobs anyway as it is. I've been looking for one for long enough. And then this, potentially takes it away. It takes it away from us as well. Like could ChatGPT or AI put a newspaper together? Probably, yeah.
Oh, easy. Well, someone sent me yesterday. I haven't replied to them yet, but a lawyer basically tweeting saying, "Right, I'm in a bit of a chaos mood. I'm gonna reveal some secrets that like basically ChatGPT can already do most of what lawyers do now. Like, so I'm just gonna start telling you how it does it." And I'm like, you're a typical example, dickhead, of someone who's like, you need the ego thing of revealing it now, but you don't realise you're putting yourself out of a fucking job dead quick here. Because as soon as the only thing holding people back from using ChatGPT to get legal advice is trust. But once, and insurance, that was the other thing I was thinking, like you can sue a lawyer. Part of the reason you go to a lawyer is you can sue them. They've got professional indemnity insurance. It's regulated.
But it's still
as soon as you could sue, but this is the problem,
wrong.
it gets it wrong,
yeah.
But you don't know that. So as long as you get to the point where you can trust it, you don't know if a lawyer's giving you the right advice, do you? But you trust what the profession is, and you can sue them if it all goes wrong.
Loads of them bastards are blagging it. I remember I had to get fucking...
Lawyers.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I had to get something signed once, literally signed, just like, a signature of our lawyer. That was it.
Yeah.
That was all that was required to be done. And I went in one lawyer's office and they asked for 200 quid. And I said, you can absolutely fucking whistle for that, mate, as if. And like, he was literally like on his dinner, do you know what I mean? And like the girl, like, knocked on his door, went in, said what needed to do and come out and went, yeah, he wants 200 quid. And I was like, nah. And then I went to another one and he said he didn't do it. Another one said he didn't do it. Fourth one I went to, fella come out and he went, oh yeah, I'll do that for you. You've got all the stuff, yeah, ID, blah, 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 yeah, it's on. Signed it, 20 quid. And what was funny about the 20 quid though, he signed it, I gave him the 20 quid and he put it in his top pocket, like as though he was going to go the boozer with it on his dinner. Like, and I was just like,
that's the thing.
You
like,
bastards, you're just fucking making this up, aren't you? Do you know what I mean?
But that was the
How's
thing.
it 200 quid there and 20 there, you little bastards?
Well, it's only meant to be a fiver. It is. It's the thing. You have to charge something for that, for like Joe notarizing thing to make it official. But it's meant to be a five. But like people are just bump it up. Go, well, I've got to do 3 things.
200 quid though.
Yeah, but that's just someone trying it on, isn't it? Because some people will pay them. But it's no. I always say this. It's no different to any other profession. There are shysters and there are knobheads and there are criminals and there's all kinds.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. But literally, like, everyone will be out of a job soon. But it was funny, like the tweet I sent to you from this guy, Tristan Harris. Did you see who he was?
Can't put a fucking roof on though, can it? Or spark
yeah,
or
but this is what
or...
I was thinking. It's mad that like we're probably going to go back to there.
Yeah.
Is that actually the stuff that we can
people
do
with
that they can't?
trades will be laughing.
Yeah,
and people who've had black jobs like me all my life.
Yeah.
Fucked.
People who, yeah, well, I always
Any
say this.
jobs on the bins, lads?
I basically get paid to talk for a living. Well, that's not going to be,
I know.
that's gone, hasn't it?
What do you do? Talk and write? Yeah, we've boxed that.
Yeah, we've boxed that with the
We're
computers.
all right for that.
Can you do plumbing? But
I'm shit at that.
Yeah, well, I'm all right at that. I'm going to get into that now. Said the other week, didn't I? I just need to learn how to not electrocute myself when I do.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd have you round to do it, mate, off the basis of those stories.
This is the problem. I've got to build up trust for people to get me to do
electricity. Did I tell you the fella come out of his house? Like as I was walking home the other week. No, he didn't come out of his house. He was walking the other way. Stopped me to like have a chat about, the pod and all that. Said he was enjoying it, all that. And then he's like, hey, do you want me to sort your Hoover for you anyway?
Oh, is that what he said? My brain had to catch up for a second then. I was like, what?
Because remember my Hoover blew up?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, Debbie's dad did it for me. And he was like, fucking hell, I can't change your plug, lad. And I was like, I'm hopeless. I really am.
That's good, that, isn't it?
Yeah. But it was very nice of him. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, that's a very nice offer. Right, I want to throw this in just to end because we were not talking about the news, right? And we haven't got much time for this, but just play the Scouse cat thing, just because I love it. It's
no segue, just Scouse cat.
this is just a clip I heard the other week. You may have heard this by now, but I fucking love it. So let's throw it in. This is just someone who posted on TikTok. The cat's got a Scouse accent.
What's all this shit?
What's all this? Is this the right clip? Why are you just showing us a video of a fucking cat here, Jacob? It's a different one.
Really?
You've just found that's just a video of a cat.
Well, the one you found was someone reacting to it, so I was trying to find the original.
Oh, we are. Well,
Scouse cat.
We fucking bang on about how professional he is, don't we? Yeah. And he'll be throwing us out in a second.
All right, then, I'll go back to the link that you sent me and let's see how we get.
So where's the cat? This is chaotic, isn't it?
Hello.
A cat with a Scouse
What an
accent.
ending. It's more professional when you host
Woman
this.
has left Twitter in hysterics after pointing out that she thought her cat had a Scouse meow, and when you hear it, it's impossible to unhear. Rachel's now.
That's it.
To be heard laughing on the radio.
It's got a little roll in it, hasn't it?
It has got it. Go on, you can stop the clip now.
Yeah, I can hear that.
I can hear it.
I can hear a bit.
I could hear it more the first time I heard it. The more I listen to it, the less it gets Scouse, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I've got one that just made me laugh because it was, I think like Scouse women are great. I just think like they're dead funny. The boss, they come up.
You've got to say that or they'll batter you.
I know, yeah. Well, that as well. So I had a little. I had to go on the national, and I got 2 horses placed. I got 2nd and 5th. So I went in to get me winnings, and the woman in front of me, was waiting. So I was just talking to her, and she went, I had that fucking coffee one, and it was fucking winning all the way through, and then it just fucked off for the milk or something. I love that. It's absolutely, because it did, didn't it? It was winning for ages.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, it was winning for ages, and then the others just caught up, and I don't even think it was placed in the end. She went, yeah, I fucked off with the coffee. Fucked off with the milk, sorry, because it was called Mr. Coffee. Brilliant. Anyway, okay.
Brilliant. Well, that's it for the show, isn't it? But there is some news, right? So we have decided, we've been talking for a while about this. There has been chat from a lot of you that you want more of this, and we want to do more of it. So we've decided right now, this is funded by one of our mates. Basically, we've never talked about this, but our mate Matt makes this all possible. He pays for the studio time, but that can't go on forever. So what we've decided to do is we're going to set up a Patreon, which, if you don't know, it's like a subscription company that helps people who run podcasts monetize. And we're just going to set up 4 different tiers. So look, we know that times are tough for a lot of people now, and we want to make it so that if you want to support us, you can. It's affordable. There's all different packages. There's all different things available. And if you can't afford it, that's fine as well. The idea is we're going to carry on doing the free show forever, if we can. But it is subject to whether you want us to continue and whether you want to back it. And something I've said from right from the start, I haven't heard about talk when we got to this point about saying about money. We're not going to hide behind anything. Like this isn't us going like, oh, if you help us with this money, we'll be able to buy a new studio. It's not. It's so that we can carry on doing it, because at the end of the day,
well, basically that is it, isn't it? Because you know we it costs money to do what we're doing, and I've had some mates say to me, is there not like some kind of budget where you can do it? And I was like, well, you got to buy the gear then, haven't you, if you try and do that? And then we'd have to do all the editing and the clips and all that, which we pay these to do, and blah 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 blah. So it does cost money to do this, and like we say, we're gonna keep the free show free, but we're just gonna basically do hopefully do, if we get the support, a second one of these a week, aren't we?
That's the idea.
And that's what you would pay for. So if you want to pay for it, and enough people say they want to pay for it, and we get the support that we need to do that, then we'll do it. And if we don't, we won't.
Yeah, precisely that. And if you chip in for the extra show, you will be helping keep the free show going as well, because we can't keep doing the free show, as I say, indefinitely without it. And the idea for now is we'll do another show like this, so there'll be more content, and there is the possibility of us doing more shows in the future. As we've said right from the start, it's dictated by you. What do you want? We may do a footy show in the future, mightn't we?
Yeah, there's loads of scope, isn't there? There's loads of things we've talked about that we'd love to do. I mean, I do love making content and want to keep doing it before ChatGPT takes over. I think, we talked about possibly doing stuff around mental health, stuff around football, the nonsense stuff that we already do.
Maybe interviews, get some people into
interviews, even
like
getting out of the studio maybe, and filming some stuff specifically for YouTube maybe. The possibilities are endless, but it all depends on some kind of support and on us making it sort of viable, if you like. I mean, it's not a sob story either, is it, to say I haven't got a job here? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I've been looking for one. I've got a second interview for one. But there's no definites there. So I'd love to make this a job, and I'd love to get back to the idea of being able to make, content 3 or 4 times a week or whatever. But yeah, we're just putting it out there. We're slapping our bollocks on the table, aren't we? And seeing
metaphorically and maybe literally.
Seeing if anyone gives them a tickle.
Yeah. And look, that is the whole point. This is my big thing about capitalism, that going back to what I said before. The reality is, the top tier of this is going to be a £10 a month, and the bottom one is going to be chip in what you want.
You can throw a quid in if you want.
You're throwing a quid. And the idea is, our job is to make sure whatever you chip in is the best money you spend every month, and you're happy to spend it. That's when, for me, capitalism is doing what it's meant to do, isn't it? You spend some money on something, and it's like, I'm made up to spend that money. The number of things I'm made up to spend that money because it makes my life better.
I think some people are sound about it now as well. I feel like, things have changed, and media's changed, hasn't it? And people support small independent bits of media now, and aren't as enamoured with some of the mainstream. Do you know what I mean? That's why less people will buy papers and things like that. Absolutely. But I speak to loads of people who are into podcasts, and they say oh yeah, there's other podcasts I throw a few quid to because I enjoy them. I spend time listening to them. You get sucked into it, and you don't mind parting with a few bob. So hopefully that's the case for us. Or loads of people might just think we're knobheads, and the whole thing might die on its ass.
Yeah, which is fair enough either way, isn't it?
At least we'll know.
I think they're right as well, by the way. So that's it. We're going to put the link in the show notes for the podcast and for YouTube. So have a look at it. Send us an email if you've got any questions or you've got any feedback or you've got any thoughts. Joe, if you think this isn't the best way to do it, let us know. And that's it. If you before we get into any chipping in, if you've enjoyed this episode, I'm just going to ask you to do one thing. If you're watching on YouTube, just click the like button. We were talking about this before we started recording. I'm as bad as this for anyone else. I'll watch a YouTube show and think that was brilliant. That I can't even be arsed pressing the like button. Just click the like button. It really does us loads of favors. YouTube will start showing it to more people. And that's it. We'll see you next week. Peace and love.
Or the ads.